Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Buccateers podcast. I'm your host, Tampa Tones. We got a lot to discuss, a lot to break down. It's late, but we got breaking news. We're not going to be here for long, probably just 15 or 20 minutes or so. Bruce Arians has retired, and Todd Bowles is the new Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. And this is effective tonight, effective very short time ago. So it's new to all of us, and yeah, we're gonna get talking about it. We're gonna get going into the episode a little bit. So hold on tight, hold on to your seatbelt, and buckle up because we got a lot to discuss about Bruce Arians, Super Bowl head coach for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Been a great 3 years. Is stepping down. Todd Bowles is taking over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back to the Buccateers. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. Beat Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to the Buccateers. Once again, breaking news. Bruce Arians is no longer the head coach of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, you heard it here first. Bruce Arians is no longer your head coach of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He won us a Super Bowl or helped bring us a Super Bowl in the 2020 season. It's been crazy. It's been a roller coaster of an offseason for the Bucs, and it's been one of those things where Brady's come and gone. Now Bruce, he said he was going to coach until he can't no more. And now he's moving into a senior consultant role with the Buccaneers. It's obviously not the head coaching role with the Buccaneers. He's a senior consultant. And Todd Bowles is your new Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. Love it or hate it, Todd Bowles is the new head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He gets a 5-year deal right out of the gate. So Todd Bowles is here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. He is not going anywhere. It is a 5-year deal for Todd Bowles. And some Bucs fans may be like, oh, why are they giving Todd Bowles 5-year contract? Well, Bruce Arians spoke very highly of Todd Bowles. He helped them be the next in line. And pretty much since the time Todd Bowles has come to Tampa, it's always been his job to lose. I know Byron Leftwich has made a case for many. I know, Harold Goodwin has made a case for some, and even Keith Armstrong for others. But Todd Bowles, at the end of the day, was the man all along. He has head coaching experience. He's been the head coach with the Jets before. He's led him to a double-digit season of wins with, Ryan Fitzpatrick is quarterback. So Fitzpatrick was quarterback, and Todd Bowles had success there with New York with a very not talented roster. So Bucko the Bruce checking in saying, my mans, what's up, Mr. Bucko? How we doing, sir? Great co-host of the Buccateers, obviously. So, we're just chugging away here, Bucko. What we're doing is, talking about the latest and greatest news of the Bucs, and that sadly stems with Bruce Arians moving to a front office role. But it might not be all too sad for some. Bucko chimes in, Tones, we knew this was the plan. BA said as much, just a dramatic happening, but we knew this was the move. Nothing changes. That is true. Bucko is a great point. Bruce Arians has kind of been the father type figure in the Bucks locker room this past year, especially these past 2 years with Tom Brady. He's been letting Byron Leftwich get more and more of the play calling duty as the years have gone by, these 3 years. And Todd Bowles, he's always been letting him do his thing on the defensive side of the ball. So it's not been a secret that Bruce Arians has kind of been more of the overseer. He's been kind of in the back role. He's been kind of watching the Bucks coaches grow in front of our eyes and do their own thing. And we're all very happy for Todd Bowles. That last play call in the Rams game was something else, and whatnot. That was unfortunate to see, but it was miscommunication. And maybe now that we're looking back at it, Bruce never really threw Bowles under the bus for that, right? He said it was a lack of communication. Some players didn't get the play out quick enough to each other, yada, yada, yada. Well, Bruce is a man with a plan, as we often know. And Bruce has been big on his succession plan. And his succession plan is to set up people for success, not set up people for failure. So here's my thought exactly from point A to point B on this entire thing as it is. I think that Bruce Arians had a plan. I think that we all knew that Todd Bowles was going to be the next head coach at some point of our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, what happened is Bruce Arians seen Tom Brady retire and said, "Do I want to leave Todd Bowles in a place without Tom Brady? Maybe not. Probably not." He knew people would be leaving with Brady. He knew that the team wouldn't be a shell of his old self when Brady retired. So Bruce said, "All right, I'm going to captain the ship again. I'm going to pick our next quarterback, whether that be Trask, whether I try and get Gabbert's career back on track for Gabbert 2.0, whether it's trading for Deshaun Watson." And after all that, Bruce was trying to get this franchise in a better position at the quarterback position. Next thing you know, Tom Brady says, "Hey, I'm coming back." Now, Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times reports, whether you like Stroud or you hate Stroud, Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times reports that the Buccaneers and sources knew, and Tom Brady knew as soon as Tom Brady unretired, either that day or the day after, that they found out that, Todd Bowles is in line to be the next head coach. Now, Christian Bennett says, "Don't go to Jacksonville. They tell him to stay here and will let you have his Arians position when he retires." That's bullshit. Well, Christine, we don't know that's the case, right? How do we know that the Glazers said, "Hey, don't go to Jacksonville. We're going to give you Bruce's job"? That actually doesn't really make sense. I'm sorry, Christine. It seems like that Todd Bowles pretty much knew he was the head coach all along, the next head coach, and it pretty much seems like Bruce knew Todd Bowles was the next head coach. And Pewter Report mentioned it in an article a month or two ago that Todd Bowles was put in line to succeed Bruce Arians eventually. So, Christine, I'm sorry, your comment makes no sense. The Bucks likely never told Leftwich that he was going to get the job when Bruce retired. And it was obviously very clear after tonight that Todd Bowles was indeed all along the only guy in the mind of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the next head coach, unless told otherwise, unless Bowles got a new job somewhere else and he left like a McDaniels did this past offseason with the Raiders. We knew the Raiders were between McDaniels or Bowles. So if Bowles goes to the Raiders, maybe Byron is the next head coach. Maybe Harold Goodwin's the next head coach. Or maybe Bruce does not even retire at all at that point. I mean, Bruce said it, and Bruce continues to say it, that, he wanted to leave the successor in the best place possible. If Bowles leaves, does Bruce leave? Because then he leaves a very new guy, Byron Leftwich. He's been an offensive coordinator for the past 4 seasons now, 1 with the Cardinals, 3 with the Buccaneers. Does he leave Byron as the head coach, or does Bruce stay another year? Does Bruce stay this year then and try and sharpen up Byron on the tools to be the next head coach, or maybe Harold Goodwin on the tools to be the next head coach? These are answers, or these are questions we'll never have answers to now, sadly. So we'll never know. Jason Roach comments, killing it, brother. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate your viewership. Along friend of mine, my godfather chimes in with thumbs up. We're getting a lot of viewership right now, which is pretty cool. Thank you again, Jason. Very kind words there. But some people are asking, oh, why am I going live now? Well, this is a big deal, folks. Bruce Arians came to this Buccaneers organization in 2019 without many pieces in place, without many pieces to the puzzle. A lot of behind the scenes commotion was happening. Bruce Arians was brought out of retirement. The Bucs actually traded for Bruce Arians. A lot of people don't know that. So the Bucs traded for John Gruden years and years and years ago and won a Super Bowl. In 2019, the Arizona Cardinals still owned the rights to Bruce Arians because he retired and then he came back. So Arians unretired and didn't want to coach the Cardinals. So what did the Bucs have to do? They had to trade for Arians. The Bucs traded for Arians in 2019. I must say, one of the happiest days of my life. One of the happiest days of my life, hearing that Bruce Arians is going to become the next Buccaneers head coach. After years and years and years of, guys like the names of, nothing against these gentlemen, Raheem Morris, who does deserve another head coach gig, Lovie Smith, a well-respected veteran around the NFL. Greg Schiano, Dirk Cutter, after years and years of all that, nothing against any of those guys. To hear that the Bucs got Bruce Arians, the quarterback whisperer, head coach of the year with the Colts, head coach of the year with the Cardinals, led the Cardinals to the playoffs, got Carson Palmer to the Cardinals, fixed Carson Palmer. 2019 was great. And then to see Ndamukong Suh come to Tampa Bay, that's how you know that Bruce Arians started a culture change right then and there. We got Ndamukong Suh, a very well-respected veteran, someone who didn't have a Super Bowl on his resume, someone who cared very much about winning, although he liked his money too. He came to Tampa. That started changing things. That started the change of the tide. After 2019, Jameis leaves. Bruce Arians was a critical, essential part of bringing Tom Brady to Tampa Bay. Don't let any non-Bucs fan tell you Brady is the reason behind the sudden Bruce retirement. It very much so has nothing to do with the reason why Bruce, and actually, part of my language, not retirement. He's moving to the front office. That's another thing, guys. That's another thing, Bruce haters. That's another thing, everybody. This goes to show right then and there that this move was not because of Tom Brady. If the Bucs wanted nothing to do with Bruce, if Brady wanted nothing to do with Bruce, don't you think that Bruce want to have a job in the organization as in general anymore? Right now, he's still a senior consultant to the Bucs, so that's going to be awesome. Bruce will be at practices. He already said it. Bruce will be in the front office. He already said it. He'll be helping out Jason Light. He'll be helping out players. He'll be helping out a lot of things. And in case you missed it, for those people trying so damn hard to say the reason behind the retirement is Brady, he posted an Instagram post that totally contradicts that thought, that totally dog walks that thought process. And Bruce already commented on that as well with the glass of whiskey saying, thanks, brother. They're brothers. Bruce views him as a brother. They won the Super Bowl because of each other, not because of one or the other. Obviously, Jason Light had a huge part in bringing Tom Brady here as well, but so did Bruce Arians. You think that Tom Brady would play for some slapdick head coach? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is why that Tom Brady came here partly was to play with Bruce Arians. It was to play with all the great wide receivers and talent that the Bucs have, but it's also, I don't know. But Don My mother watching, thank you, says she will miss Bruce Arians as head coach. A lot of people will. Such a great guy, such a class act. Really goes above and beyond to make fans feel appreciated. He tells the truth all the time, never cut corners. Was very, very, very truthful in his press conferences. So a lot of people are going to miss Bruce. But with that being said, Todd Bowles is here, and he's here to stay with his 5-year contract. And you have to think that Bruce played a big part in this. Next head coach and who it would be. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a shame. A shame that Byron's not the next head coach." Hold on. As much as I would have liked to see potential Harold Goodwin or Byron Leftwich, um, it makes sense that it's Todd Bowles. He's the one with head coaching experience. He's the one who Bruce Arians seemed to handpick from the start to be the protege, and it just makes sense. I mean, Bruce Arians went to Arizona. Todd Bowles as his defensive coordinator. Todd Bowles got his Jets head coaching job in part because of Bruce, and now he gets his Bucs head coaching job in part because of Bruce. So, so much has happened this offseason, especially the past month or so with the Bucs, the past couple months with Brady retiring, unretiring, that jackass Mike Florio saying, "Oh, Brady's going to be a Niner. Oh, Brady's going to be a Dolphin." Jackass is already starting up the rumors of, "Oh, this is because of Brady retiring." It's like, no. Mike Florio, you're disgusting. Shame on you. You always have to try and seem like you're ahead of the curve. You already shouted out Rich Orenberger tonight, you damn clown jackass. Pro Football Talk, you're a bunch of you're a bunch of crocs. You're a bunch of full sad sacks of shit. Quit stirring false news about our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Quit stirring clickbait about our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Florio, that's all you've been doing. That's all you've been doing, bro. Since Tom Brady got here, you've been riding our freaking coattails. You've been saying, "Oh, Bruce Arians this, oh, Tom Brady that." Now you're already trying to say, "Oh, Rich Orenberger was on it all along. He was right all along." This is why people like you will live forever in the media, and it's not because of good things. It's because you're such a fool. You put the articles out there so soon. You try and get clickbait interaction. You try and make the Bucs organization look like fools. You try and make it seem like Bruce Arians is a bad guy. You try and paint a picture like that's why Antonio Brown is no longer with the Bucs. Bruce Arians gave AB every damn chance to stay with the Bucs. Bruce Arians was the overseer of the entire offensive operation at that point by the time Tom Brady came. Whose house did Tom Brady go to learn the Bucs offense at a very early point right after Brady signed? He didn't accidentally walk into the wrong house trying to find Bruce Arians' house. No. He was trying to find Byron Leftwich's house, and he walked into the wrong one. And that means that Tom Brady obviously, was learning from Leftwich. He knew from a young time with the Bucs that he was going to learn from Leftwich because Leftwich had the offensive control at that point in time. So Rich Orenberger's report of, Bruce Arians would come down and try and red pen Leftwich's and Brady's game plan, total BS. It's totally fabricated. It's a non-factor. It's a non-decision in Bruce stepping down. And as again I say, a lot of people have it wrong. Bruce isn't retiring. Bruce is moving to a front office senior consultant role within the organization. So again, that should tell you right then and there that Bruce Arians is, Bruce Arians is sticking around. He's here to stay. He's going to be at practices. He's going to be helping the players out. He's going to be helping guys like Jason Light out make crucial decisions in the front office and everything, so to speak. So to say that Bruce Arians is the reason why this all happened, yada, 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 to say that, Bruce Arians was only here to, do nothing and to sit on his thumb, and Brady took advantage of that, yada, yada, yada. It's just total nonsense. Total nonsense, and it's disgusting. Bruce Arians came here to be a great leader, which is exactly what he did, and to groom the next great coordinators or head coaches of the game, which is exactly what he did. And then Tom Brady chose to play with Bruce Arians. Tom Brady didn't go choose to play again with Bill Belichick. Tom Brady didn't go choose to play with Brian Flores. You know, Tom Brady chose to play with Bruce Arians when it's all said and done. Brady's Instagram post, we'll read it here in a minute. Sorry, I'm trying to share this Buccateers live feed. We still got about 10 minutes left in the tank. I know I said I was hopping on for shorter, but we got more time left in the tank. So let's see what's going on here. Let me pull up my Instagram. Is Steppen Peppin pops in, one of the great Buccateers fans and contributors and talk about people. Steppen Peppin, here we go. He's now in the mix, and Steppen Peppin says, I believe this move is best for our organization for the coming years. And yeah, Peppin, my man, that could be true for multiple reasons, and there could be multiple reasons behind that truth. One of the reasons is Bruce Arians is probably going to retire next year anyways. If Bruce Arians retires next year, Todd Bowles gets a Bucks team that's, say Brady leaves next year, say a lot of holes open up next year. Todd Bowles takes over next year. And, you know, it's one of those things where you got to be careful, because then is he going to be a one and done if the Bucks don't perform up to expectations? Are you going to give Bowles 2 years? How do you handle that? So to me, absolutely, that, you know, it could be better for things to come. So Tom Brady's Instagram quote says, thank you, BA, for all that you have done for me and our team. You are an incredible man and coach, and it was a privilege to play for you. You are a true NFL legend and pioneer for all the work you have done to make the league more diverse and inclusive. Smart, tough, and loyal are a few of the words to describe your style. I will always remember the conversations we had when you recruited me 2 years ago, and all of the things we discussed came true. We all benefited from your leadership and guidance, and I'm so proud of everything we accomplished. You were a huge part of the decision to join the Bucks, and I'm forever grateful. I'm so happy we'll spend the much deserved time with your loving and supportive family that has given so much to our communities. Congratulations on an amazing coaching career, but more importantly, how you positively impacted me and everyone else in the game of football with 3 hearts. And Bruce Arians comments, thanks, brother, with a glass of whiskey on top of that. So for you jackass bums out there like Mike Florio saying, Rich Ornberg, this guy was right. Rich Ornberg was right. Bruce had to step down because of Brady. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, Brady wants what he gets. Yada, yada, yada. No. You got to reevaluate yourself. You got to listen to the real Bucks reporters. You can't listen to these clickbait wannabes, because it's not right. It's how you get in trouble. It's how bad things happen. NFL Twitter is a very dangerous place nowadays. If you're not paying attention, if you're just in it for the clicks, it gets dangerous. It gets dangerous. So we're here and we're putting our foot down, and we're saying that Tom Brady loved Bruce. Bruce loved Tom Brady. Brady coming back had nothing to do with Bruce retiring. I'm sorry. You know, I'm just here saying that Bruce Arians literally wanted Todd Bowles to succeed. And, you know, Todd Bowles' best chance to succeed is coming with Tom Brady as head coach, is coming with Logan Ryan on a 1-year contract, is coming fresh off the heels of a Shaq Mason deal, is coming with all these guys still in the Bay. Levante David, 1 year left. So maybe it brings a Sue back to the Bay. Now, you never know. You never know. Mason Bradford says, our team just got better. Defense wins rings. I mean, did our team get better? It stayed the same. We lost a leader, and you know, we gained a leader. Defense wins championships is an old saying. Has that held true over the NFL lately? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, this year's Super Bowl, we've seen the Rams win. Yeah, their defense is great, but so is their offense. So yeah, I think the Bucks stayed the same. We're not going to miss a beat by any means. Us losing Bruce Arians got shot emotionally, but in terms of gameplay standpoint, the Bucks aren't going to miss a beat. Did we get better? No. I don't see how this move improves us, because Todd Bowles is a Bruce Arians disciple. He has a very similar philosophy and attack of playing as Bruce Arians does. Donnie Pepin, this move doesn't happen overnight. This was planned exactly. It was planned um, in terms of this. Bruce and Todd knew what was going on. They knew Bowles was going to be the next man. Fans didn't know that, but Bruce and Todd knew that. The Glazers knew that. Brady didn't know that. That it doesn't affect Brady either way. Bruce looked at Todd after the season. I mean, we heard it right away, guys. He was protecting Todd. He never threw Todd under the bus after that Rams game, if you noticed. Again, he said players miscommunication and stuff. He stuck his neck out for Todd. And then at the same time, he said right away, "Oh yeah, I'll be back coaching," taking all the pressure off the Bucks players, off the Bucks coaching staff to make decisions, etc., etc., etc. Now, what happened was after that, between that time and now, Tom Brady retired and unretired. Logan Ryan came. Russell Gage came, Shaq Mason came, Fred Johnson came, Josh Wells resigned, yada, 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 Carlton Davis, Ryan Jensen, Chris Godwin, the gang's all here. All these guys wouldn't have came back if they don't respect Bruce, if they don't respect Todd Bowles as a whole. Todd Bowles, a lot of people felt like he got shorted getting head coaching opportunities. Well, patience is a virtue. The Buccateers always said, Todd Bowles best be off just waiting around. And JC Allen says on Twitter, with the hiring of Todd Bowles, the Bucs will be able to start their offseason programs 2 weeks earlier. Even though he is an internal hire, he is still considered a new head coach. Originally slated to begin April 18th, they can now start on April 4th. That is our friend of the show, JC Allen from the Pewter Report, dropping that news there. So there you go. That's another thing why this move makes sense now, so that the Bucs can get their offseason. Jason Roach says, does this mean AB is coming back? No, my friend. AB is done in Tampa. No, I think he's done in football. No one in the locker. I mean, he has friends in the locker room, but friends is different than on-field stuff. So now Pro Football Talk. Now Pro Football Talk is coming at the Bucs again in a weird way. It's like this son of a bitch Florio can't keep us out of his mouth. Now he quote tweets a tweet saying, Tom Pelleroso said the Bucs didn't have to comply with the Rooney Rule before hiring new head coach Todd Bowles because it's after March 1st and potential candidates could be blocked from interviewing from the anti-tampering policy, yada, yada, yada. Pro Football Talk quotes that and says this implies the existence of one hell of Rooney Rule loophole that surely does not exist. Pro Football Talk is just, Todd Bowles is a minority, guys. So right then and there, Todd Bowles gets the job. Boom, Rooney Rule absorbed, interviewed, head coach, slanted in the head coaching job. How dumb could people be that they want to make up these rumors, that they want to bring this fake news to the Tampa area to try and cause a rift in the Bucs organization, cause all this drama? It's silly, guys. It's really silly. So, Rick Stroud, just another item. Todd Bowles learned of Bruce Arians' decision and the Bucs plan to hire him as head coach on Monday. Yeah, and it honestly makes sense. Bruce Arians probably went to the coaches meeting and he probably wanted to find out if they could name Todd Bowles the head coach right away. Bruce Arians left the coaches meeting, and that's that. Mike Garofalo says, if you're wondering what Tom means by complying with the rule when they hired a minority coach anyways, the Rooney Rule states teams must interview 2 external minority candidates, but is noted below that didn't apply here because of the post-March 1st. Again, Todd Bowles gets a 5-year deal as well. He is he's the Bucs' 4th African-American head coach in team history, so that's awesome. And a lot of outpouring love for Bruce Arians right now. A lot of people are loving Bruce Arians. Oh my gosh. Pro Football Talk just can't keep the name out of the mouth. So I'm just going to stop talking about Pro Football Talk. I'm not giving Florio any more clout than he needed to. Benjamin Albright likes the Bulls move. He says Bulls' previous experience, I think it's the right move. They'll probably reset an offense after this year anyways. So that's what really makes this into sense too, right? For those Byron Leftwich head coaching truthers or Harold Goodwin or even Keith Armstrong, which I don't know how he would have gotten it given the lack of our special teams, but that actually makes a lot of sense. If Byron becomes a new head coach, he's been so acclimated with this offense. There's going to be a lot of turnover on that offense next year, perhaps, with some free agents and the quarterback position, especially here with Todd Bowles becoming our head coach. Our defense is going to stay the same mostly. Obviously, we gave guys like Will Golston a 1-year contract and whatnot, but we locked up some key pieces for long. Vita Vea. We have Devin White's 5th-year option picked up. We still have Winfield on a young deal. We have Carlton Davis on a long deal. Tryon Shawenka, et cetera, et cetera. We have a lot of guys. And Donnie Pepin, yes, sir, with Todd Bowles, our new head coach. Yep. That I agree. He adds in something that I missed. So we have 2 more minority head coaches than any other team has ever had in NFL history. So that's awesome as the Bucks, man. All I'm saying is this, and I got a couple more minutes here before I hop out of here. I've been ranting. I've been ramping. I've been, beefing with Pro Football Talk. Nick Anderson comments, BA is the greatest head coach in Bucks history. 31-18 record, 2 playoff appearances, and a Super Bowl title. And even though we went 7-9 in 2019, and interesting things happened in 2019. We had so many passing yards, so many passing touchdowns, so many offensive accolades in Bruce Arians' first year in our offense. I remember reading articles. I believe the Bucs started 2-6 in Bruce Arians' first year here when he was the head coach. I remember reading articles, of people saying, "Oh, is Bruce Arians going to be a one and done? Oh, I bet you Bruce Arians wishes he stayed retired. Oh, this about Bruce Arians. Oh, that about Bruce Arians." All we know for certain is one thing: Bruce Arians is damn thankful he came out of retirement to coach his Buccaneers team. Bruce Arians is damn happy because he won a Super Bowl. And he gets to set up a great successor now with Todd Bowles. And 2 of his biggest things that were important to him coming into this thing, it's those 2 things. He wanted to create a good foundation for the successor, which happened to be Todd Bowles, and he wanted to win a Super Bowl. Both of those things came to fruition now with tonight's news that Bruce Arians is stepping into a consultant role, a senior consultant role in the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles slots into the head coach, and it sounds like Larry Foote might take over as defensive coordinator, which I thought was possible. I thought it was possible if Todd Bowles was to leave and get a head coaching job elsewhere. I thought that Larry Foote would become perhaps a defensive coordinator. And then Ian Rappaport says Casey Rogers and Larry Foote might split defensive coordinator duties. I'm not a big fan of splitting duties personally. We've seen what happened with the Dolphins offense last year. They had 2 or 3 offensive coordinators. I don't think that turned out well at all for Miami. I just don't think that multiple defensive coordinators would be the right answer, the right choice for the Buccaneers personally. I think that you should name it to one, and I think that should be Larry Foote. Nothing against Casey Rogers. He's done a hell of a job with the D-line, but Larry Foote is one of those guys who's an up-and-comer in the ranks with the Buccaneers organization. He's one of those guys who, he's going to get a job elsewhere one day, whether it's defensive coordinator or a better defensive assistant position or even a head coach job way down the road. Larry Foote has all that potential in the world. Not saying, other coaches and people on our staff don't. Not saying that Casey Rogers doesn't have that potential, but Larry Foote, just would be my choice. And yep, Nick does make a good point. Casey Rogers was his DC with the Jets. He sure the hell was. But if you're the Bucks, or I guess now, weird to say, if you're head coach Todd Bowles, Casey Rogers is likely to stay on your staff no matter what, right? Because he was Bowles DC before. He's familiar with Bowles. Bowles and him respect each other. But if you name Rodgers a DC and you leave Larry Foote out, there's other teams out there in the coming seasons that might try and scoop up Larry Foote as a defensive coordinator. And then he could be out the door. Now, with making Larry Foote our defensive coordinator already, it gives us a couple-year cushion with Larry. I highly doubt, even if he has a ton of success, he becomes a head coach that quickly in a year or so or whatnot. But, man, just wild offseason we have seen with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to leave the room open for a couple more minutes if we get any more questions shaken in, if we get anything else across the news pipe. I keep refreshing NFL Twitter to give you guys the latest and greatest, latest and greatest reasonings. But, pro football talk keeps going in and going in and going in. But Jenna Lane just came out and said something that holds true with my theory as well. Source tells me that Bruce Arians informed Tom Brady that he was stepping aside shortly after Brady announced he was returning. So that makes sense to me because, like I said, Bruce wanted to leave Todd Bowles in the best chance to succeed as possible. Brady comes back. Bruce goes, "Hey, brother, you got a good chance of succeeding now. You got Brady back." Bruce goes, "Is there anything else I could do for you?" Him and Todd Bowles said, "Hey, bring some of these free agents back. Do this, do that." But I will say, Todd Bowles, I am interested in the intrigue he brings to the job. He's done a good job with the half-ass Jets team before. And Bruce Arians' press conference will also be tomorrow as well. Bruce Arians will be there. The Glaziers will be there. Todd Bowles will be there. I believe it's either noon Eastern or 1 Eastern. I'm gonna have to look at that as well eventually or whatnot. But we'll see. We'll see if we could get our buddy JC Allen in here for a little bit. He said send the link. I was gonna hop off, but if he could come in and share a few words, let me see something here. Again, I'm just saying this. I'm a huge fan of everything that the Buccaneers have done this offseason to this point in terms of bringing people back, bringing guys in the building, Tom Brady coming back, people wanting to play for the Buccaneers organization. It's obvious, especially with Tom Brady being here, especially with other leaders like Evans. Leonard Fournette had his goodbye written on Instagram, for crying out loud. Tom Brady says he's coming back. Leonard Fournette deletes that, takes a quick visit with New England, comes back to the Bucs. All that hearsay was cute and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we know that Tom Brady moves the needle on players wanting to play in Tampa, people wanting to come in Tampa. Tom Brady, big reason to that. So the Bucs, even with Todd Bowles, he's been a head coach before, so I have all the confidence in the world of Todd Bowles being okay here. And I sent the link to JC Allen. We'll see if he's able to join us for a little bit. We'll see if we could get the Pewter Report to hop on here late at night to talk a couple minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so about the late breaking news. Omar Rodriguez says, bringing in the Badger. Honey Badger, I heard he might go to the Saints. I heard he might go to the Colts. I heard a couple of things. I mean, I guess the Saints would make sense since Malcolm Jenkins retired today. Obviously, he's played in Arizona before, so he has some familiarity with some coaches and personnel in the Bucs front office, perhaps. But will he come here? I'm not sure, especially after the Logan Ryan move. It does seem like we probably want to play Logan Ryan at cornerback more than safety, but at the same time, we lost Whitehead. So safety is gonna be a position between Edwards and Winfield and Logan Ryan, perhaps, that you have these three guys sharing the safety roles. I don't know if you necessarily need a Honey Badger. Would it be awesome if Honey Badger came here? Absolutely. Hell yeah, it'd be awesome if Honey Badger came here. One of the top free agents left on the market, defensively or in totality. So he's a game changer, and I'd be very appreciative of that. ESPN stats and info tweet. Bruce Arians had a 31-18 record, 633% winning percentage in 3 seasons with the Buccaneers. He has the highest winning percentage of any coach in Buccaneers history. Arians has also won 5 playoff games with the Bucs. Every other coach in franchise history has 6 combined. So for you Bruce haters, for you naysayers out there, for you guys saying, you know, Bruce and yada yada yada, it's not even sad to see him go. I don't even care. You know, think again. Robert Mathis, former Colt, says Bruce Arians is never led by gossip and opinions, which is what made all his players ride for him no matter what. Happy retirement, aka BA. Pro Football Talk. Again, the Bucs have had some interesting head coaching moves in the past 20 years. Fired Tony Dungy, gave up the farm for Gruden, fired him in an inside job for Raheem, hired Greg Schiano, fired Lovey for Dirk Cutter, and now whatever this is. Bro, it's the NFL. You're acting like, first off, you're acting like the Bucs are the only team who promote from within. You're acting like this is the only time this coaching stuff ever happens. It's like, dude, it happens with all these teams. It happens with all these organizations. And he goes, now whatever this is, all it is Bruce seeing the chance of success that Todd Bowles could have with this team. And now he's stepping away because he wants to leave Bowles in a very good place. Justin Goldsmith says draft a stud, and then he elaborates a little more, saying draft a stud at free safety. Jason Roach says agreed, brother, on the Antonio Brown front, saying he did ask if they were thinking about bringing him back in now that Bruce is gone, perhaps. And I said, no, I don't think so. So he says he agrees there as well. But it'll be interesting, guys. Just a lot of interesting tidbits, additions to the roster, shakeups in the coaching staff, Brady retiring, Brady unretiring. Then you had Bruce Arians being our coach, and now now he's fading into the night, into the front office role. You have so much stuff going on, so much moving parts, so many moving pieces that at the end of the day, it ultimately boils down to this: the players play and the coaches coach. So Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles were pretty much attached at the hip. They're really good guys. I mean, there were a bunch of rumors right when Bruce Arians got the Bucs head coaching job. I remember the Bears were making a push for Todd Bowles to be their defensive coordinator, and Todd Bowles ultimately stuck it out, and he ended up becoming Bruce Arians' defensive coordinator, and now he's gonna carry on the torch of the Buccaneers head coach, and he is the 4th minority head coach in Buccaneers history, and that is 2 more than any other team in NFL history. So again, that just goes to show what a job Bruce Arians did in grooming minority coaches, in grooming female coaches. Low Locust is on the staff. We have Byron Leftwich, Keith Armstrong, Harold Goodwin, so many good guys on the staff, and really they could all be head coaches at some point. Justin Goldsmith says BA is the man. The players love him. All the same thing. Yes, my friend. We all love BA. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there's so many BA memories in 3 years, 3 short years. There's so many Bruce Arians memories. I mean, there were Dungy memories, there were Gruden memories, there were Raheem Morris memories. There were a lot of good memories, but Bruce Arians provided perhaps the best memories in the shortest amount of time. You could thank guys like Brady for that. Yeah, Mike Evans helped with that as well. But at the end of the day, when you look at it and you take a glance back and you say, who had the best 3-year run in Tampa Bay Buccaneers coaching history? Bruce Arians will probably be number one when that dust is settled in. He brought an irrelevant team back to relevance with a 7-9 record, signing Ndamukong Suh, breaking Jameis Winston records, creating the craziest offensive quarterback story of all time almost. 30 touchdown, 30 interception season out of Jameis Winston. So that's insane. 2020 got us a freaking Super Bowl ring. Obviously, the players have big contributions to that. They're the ones on the field, as I said earlier. They're the ones making plays and whatnot. But Bruce Arians head coached us to our second Super Bowl game. And not only did he coach us there, he kicked the Chiefs' ass. He out-coached Andy Reid. He out-managed Andy Reid. He out-game planned Andy Reid. He out-everything Andy Reid. And that was awesome to see. Andy Reid's a hell of a coach. Bruce Arians just one-upped him there. So Jay Glazer reports too. Bruce Arians told me once he knew Brady was coming back, he started thinking he could step away and leave Todd Bowles in great position. So there was a rule they needed clarified, which could have been, hey, could Bowles do this right away, or is it against the Rooney rule or whatnot? So it makes sense according to Jay Glazer. Paige D'Amicos from the Draft Network shares a tweet saying his head coach, Super Bowl champion, and two-time NFL Coach of the Year in 2012 and 14 with the Colts and Cardinals. Oldest coach to win Super Bowl and Cardinals career wins record, 49 wins. Buccaneers highest win percentage, 651%. As assistant coach, two-time Super Bowl champion. Man, let's drink to Bruce tonight. Let's smoke to Bruce tonight, whether it's a cigar, whether it's a wacky tobacco. However you celebrate, make sure tonight goes to Bruce Arians, guys. Pour your whiskey, pour your beer if you need. Roll your sticky, light your cigar, do whatever you got to do, because this is a crazy time to be a Bucs fan, an off season like no other. We're hearing reports from Rick Stroud saying that Todd Bowles knew of this move on Monday, and it was kind of weird all week because Bruce Arians went to the coaches meeting and then he left the coaches meeting abruptly. So and how awkward. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, hard to see, but puts out a tweet, and this clown has been coming at the Bucs, been coming at Tom Brady, been coming at Bruce Arians, saying they need to do more. This idiot puts out a tweet saying Todd Bowles finalizes new 5-year contract. It ain't even Todd Bowles in the picture. It ain't even Todd Bowles, the dumbass. It's a different Bucs coach. It's a different Bucs assistant. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he should spend less time investing in conspiracy theories, Mike Florio, and maybe you should do better job at getting pictures. And that's thanks to Greg Allman from The Athletic for calling that out. Pro Football Talk is just a sad sack of crap. Chris Sims, it's sad to see what he did. Mike Florio, it's sad to see where you've gone. Just Bucs haters, man. Bucs haters. And it's sad because we gave Chris Sims the NFL career and the start that we thought he'd appreciate, that we thought he'd respect, that we thought he'd be thankful for. But instead, he's just slapped the Bucs organization in the face. He's been shitting on us. He's not been a nice commentator. And now Mike Florio continues to talk stupidly. He continues to talk out of his butt cheeks. He continues to be an idiotic moron in the world of sports and covering the world of sports. So a lot of interesting things going on. It's already been 50 minutes. I literally said I was going to be here for 10 to 15 minutes, but now it's been 50 minutes. Greg Allman says Gruden isn't in the Ring of Honor anymore, but was on his coaching merits fell. So pretty much I'm campaigning for Bruce to get into the Ring of Honor. Greg Allman seems to be campaigning to get into the Ring of Honor. I know that Bruce Arians, and the picture obviously is Keith Armstrong that Pro Football Talk tweeted, not even Todd Bowles. So it's Keith Armstrong. Excuse me, running on fumes here. Pro Football Talk said Todd Bowles, new Bucs head coach, tweeted a picture of Keith Armstrong, just clown show over there. So more to come in the coming days. I've been needing to do an up to the minute Buck date. I've had some family stuff going on. My Uncle Frank, great guy in my life, passed away within the past couple of weeks. And it was just one of those things where he was a true NFL Sundays king. He had 6 TVs in his basement, always a great guy, nice guy. So, was going through that there for my family, and put the podcast into the side a little bit. And now this Bruce Arians thing happened, and I thought it was just appropriate. I thought it was right. Breaking the news with you guys, talking through the news with you guys, on behalf of the Buccateers, going live, doing our thing. I mean, Justin Goldsmith, Omar Rodriguez, Pepin Steppin. We've had so much good convo tonight. Kevin Grigsby, Bucko the Bruce. We go to Jason on Twitter, Don on Twitter, James Rubright on Twitter. Such good conversation, guys. And I really thank you all for sticking with the Buccateers and really, really listening and being with us tonight. And once again, we'll go through it one more time. Bruce Arians, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, head coach in Buccaneers history, is moving to the front office. He's moving to the front office. Todd Bowles, new head coach. Defensive coordinator, question mark. Will it be Richard? Will it be Foote? Richard, old Jets defensive coordinator under Todd Bowles. Larry Foote, up and coming linebackers coach in the NFL. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, how this all plays out. And Cody G's letting it be had on Mike Florio. He said, you idiots couldn't even manage to post a picture of the right person. Cody, go get him, brother. That's our co-host right there, Cody the G, doing the Lord's work, coming at Pro Football Talk right now, because I'm on here with you guys right now, so I only have time to do so much. My man Cody G, my man Bucko the Bruce, they're both on their A game coming at Pro Football Talk. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's here for clickbait. Everyone's here for weird stuff. I even see Bucs people here trying to cause rumors, trying to cause speculation and whatnot. But all we can do is sit back and be thankful for the 3 years that Bruce Arians gave us as a Buccaneers head coach. So, and we do have JCL joining us. We have about 10 minutes left in here now. So we got JC joining us. I know he's a busy man. He hit me up. He was like, hey, send the link over. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. We're on. And it's a great friend of the show's JC. So much going on. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, what a night, right? I mean, totally unexpected. This offseason, not just for the Bucs, but for the league in general, it's one step after another. And I feel like all I've been doing for the last 2 hours is just refreshing and reporting. So it's crazy. You got to give it to BA though. I mean, noticing that, knowing that he was going to probably retire after this year, looking at the roster, looking at the team, and looking at, a guy like Todd Bowles and saying, hey, before, anything happens, I walk away and they're doing this wide search. Let me make sure that my guys, not just Bowles, but my guys, my staff is secure. And it's totally unselfish, and, it's weird because, right, BA has been pretty hands off the last 2 years. He's really let Byron and Bowles really kind of do their own thing on offense and defense. Of course, he runs the team meetings and I'm sure he goes over their game plans and adds and subtracts what he likes or at least, coordinates with them like, hey, instead of doing this, let's do that. But for the most part, he lets those guys run it. And, so they're prepared for this. And, with the segue with, Bowles becoming the head coach, I don't see much of a difference going to be made there either. I think he's still probably going to let Byron run the offense and he'll focus on the defense, and now he'll be the one, calling the meetings and breaking down the group. But it should be pretty smooth. I don't think there should be any like hiccups in this transition.
Yeah, and JC, I agree with you on pretty much everything you said earlier tonight. I said the same thing. I said, look, I don't think that the on the field aspect is going to miss a beat, really. Bruce came here, and Bruce is kind of the father figure to begin with, giving guys like Byron, giving guys like Bowles the utmost power. And I really like what you said with, you gave kudos to BA for setting up Todd Bowles in a good position. I just want to put this to bed now. Tom Brady coming back in your mind has nothing to do with what played out tonight, right?
None whatsoever. And I've talked to people close to the situation, and it was more. It wasn't about a health issue either. It's more about him just saying, "Hey, I'm 69. I'm going to be 70 next year. I only have about 1 year left." Instead of all, it's read what his statement said. I mean, that's pretty much what happened here. I know national media, Florio and Skip Bayless, and of course Boston media, because they're just waiting to pounce all over this. It's going to try to spin it and being like, "Oh, Brady told the Glazers in Manchester United game that he needed, Arians gone," and I just don't think so, because Arians isn't gone. You think Arians is going to be sitting there at $1 place during training camp and just sitting up from the window, glass windows, watching practice? No, he's going to be down there, whistle swinging, talking to Bowles, talking to Byron, in the players' ear, cussing them out. I think he just wanted to step away. It gives him a little less responsibility, with his age. And it's truly really about setting his guys up, I think, and putting them in a position where his staff was in place. And he's got one of the largest staffs in the league. If for exactly what he said, for whatever reason, Brady gets hurt and, they don't make the playoffs, and, so whatever happens and he steps down, and now it becomes head coaching search, and I mean, I think the first thing they would do is obviously look to Bowles and Byron, but at the same time, now it's certain, you got Bowles for 5 years. Majority of the staff is there. You have guys who know the players, know the system. Nothing's changing really, that I expect. I don't expect much to change. I'm sure, Bowles will put his own wrinkle on some things, but I don't expect much to change as far as scheme wise on offense or defense. I highly doubt Todd Bowles is going to go to Byron and Brady and be like, "Hey, I love what you guys have been doing, but we got to change this all up." So, I think it was just a perfect time for him. And, like you said, in that interview with Peter King, now he doesn't have to, count how many cocktails he has on Saturday either. So I think he's fine with that too.
And like you alluded to, he is going to be 70 years old. He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's been coaching for 40, 50 years, college ball, NFL, pro ball now. So this is a man who's, like you said, hasn't had Saturday cocktails, well, at least a lot of him, in quite some time. He's been in the game forever. And I know right after the year ended, he did say, "I'm going to coach until I can't anymore." Do you think, in your opinion, if Todd Bowles ended up getting the Raiders job, which he was a finalist for, do you think that Bruce Arians would have continued to coach this year to kind of give the reins over to either a Harold Goodwin or a Byron Leftwich for next season and kind of set them up for success, since he is all about his successful succeeding, I guess you could call it?
Yeah, I think it would be a plan to put Byron in there. Absolutely. I think, and they had, I mean, you're already seeing it, what the transition is going to be for the defensive side. Larry Foote, Casey Rogers, two of the guys that if Bowles did leave for the Raiders job or whatever, those guys are going to be top candidates to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not upgraded. Promoted. Thank you. There we go. Promoted to that spot. So now it looks like they're going to split, be dual, co-defensive coordinators. But I think, it probably would have been Byron, and they had, plans in place. Kevin Garver was probably the most likely choice. Maybe Thad Lewis as well, who, Bruce was high on, brought him in, former quarterback. So those guys would probably be bumped up to the offensive coordinator position. But now I think I don't expect this team not to have another amazing season on offense. And I could definitely see Byron Leftwich, leaving for a head coaching job. as far as what Jay's saying, yeah, it is seniority and Todd Bowles. We're looking at the trends here too, right? So if you look at these trends, and let's face it, Byron would have had a job if the Jaguars just did the smart thing and fired Trent Baalke and let him bring in Adrian Wilson. But we're seeing the trend is offensive coaches, young offensive coaches. Well, that's not Todd Bowles. So I'm sure he's confident. I'm sure they're all confident that Byron will get an opportunity, but less so that Bowles will get the opportunity. So with the seniority and ensuring that Bowles had that opportunity, I think that it gives the reins for Byron to continue to do what he's doing, have another great season, potentially be a head coaching candidate. And Todd, it looks like it's going to be, to Jay's question, it looks like it's going to be Larry Foote, Casey Rogers, a combination of both of those guys being co-defense coordinators. We'll see, though. It was reported by Ian Rappaport. We've tried to check in as well and figure out if that's the case. It looks like that's what it's going to be.
Now, a couple more questions here. I know it's been a crazy night. You probably got places, things to be. I've seen you bouncing around all over and whatnot. I was only planning on hopping on for about 10 or 15 minutes, but then my blood got boiling when I seen Pro Football Talk starting.
Oh my! Not only that, they put a picture up of Keith Armstrong up, and not even Todd Bowles. Idiots.
How pathetic is that for a guy that wants to come at the Bucs organization for the stupidest stuff, and then he does something like that? JC, I do want to ask you something.
The LA Times broke the story with Peter King and put a picture of Armstrong up as well. It wasn't even Bowles. Like, come on. Like,
LA Times did the same thing.
Yes. That's almost bad as what was it? Someone called Carlton Davis, I forget something, or Jamel Dean or something. I don't know. It was bad. They're on the Super Bowl week. They're calling the people the wrong names and stuff like that. Like, learn who you're talking to. If you're going to talk to someone, learn who you're talking to. But anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
It's like Armstrong and Bowles don't even look alike anyhow. And Bowles has been a head coach before, so it's kind of hard to mispicture Todd Bowles or whatnot. But, I do want to ask you something because I think it's interesting. Right away, I forget if it was right after the Bucs-Rams game or a couple days after that Bucs-Rams NFC divisional game, Bruce Arians pretty much said, like, yeah, I'm back next year. And, yeah, I'm coaching until I cannot coach anymore. And he was enthusiastic about it. He was on top of the answer. I have a theory that, that was maybe to take pressure off other rumors of, what free agents are coming back or if Bowles or if Leftwich is going to take over or who might take over. Or do you think that Bruce Arians really thought, yeah, I'm going to coach. And then he sat back and thought about it. And he's like, if Bowles has the best chance to succeed, I better stick to my word and I better retire 1 year early. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he planned on coming back this whole time, and then as he sat and thought about it, and maybe took a better look at it, and the time commitments, and he said in his thing, he's like, he was gonna retire and go out on top after that first Super Bowl, but then Tom was coming back, so he was like, hey, let's try to run it back, let's try to go back to back. So I think he just thought about it and it was like, hey, at this point in juncture, with everything else, I could set my guy up and all that stuff that went with it, and still being part of the organization, just not part of the coaching staff and everything like that, and having that little bit more freedom to kind of, as a consultant, to come and go as you please, and spend more time with his wife and everything like that. I think that was a little bit more alluring to him. Like I said, I don't think that Byron and Bowles are going to be like, oh, well, BA's in the front office now, better not bother him with any coaching questions or anything like that. I still think he'll be right there for him. And if they need anything, and if, let's not get it twisted. It's going to be Bowles' team, but BA is still going to be there. And if anybody needs anything, players, coaches, I'm sure he'll be more than willing and more than gracious with his time to help, whatever, or do whatever is asked of him.
So, yeah, elaborating off that a little bit, a couple last questions here. Bruce Arians going to a senior consultant role, perhaps, for those listening or those watching or those who might listen to this down the road, and they're wondering what role he might have. I know you just hit it a little bit, but what is a senior consultant, and what do you think Bruce Arians will be doing not only on game days, but really throughout the week, throughout the off season and whatnot? What will his role be?
I mean, just exactly what it is. It's consulting on whatever's needed. He said he wanted to work with the guys in the front office a little bit more. So with he's got an eye for talent. So he'll be working with Jason Light and going over draft prospects and free agents and this and that. And I think that he'll like I said, any advice that the coaching staff needs or anything he can do to help with the coaching staff, anything he can help out with. Any initiatives that they're doing, anything in the organization that they feel like he can use, they can use his knowledge and expertise. That's what he's going to do. And anything that he wants to get his hands involved in, I think, they're going to open it up and say, yeah, whatever you want to do. You want to break down some film on some tight ends? Sure. You want to, go work out with the offensive linemen? Sure. You want to go, do this, whatever. So I don't think there's with the consultant, I don't think there's like a set, okay, this is what you're doing, this is what you'll be doing. I think it's more like, okay, whenever we have some questions or whatever, we need another set of eyes on something, or maybe they'll have like a designated role and designated thing for him to do, like, hey, you do this every week or you do that. For the most part, I think it's just, hey, whatever we could use you for, we're going to use you in any role or any way we can.
And now on Saturday nights, him and Shelton Corals could go to the, they could have a couple brews together, whatnot. But one thing I do want to say, when you think the clown Antonio Brown has anything to say about this, and how soon do you think we hear from a guy like that on this?
Who knows? I mean, you heard him when Brady came, and then Brady. I stopped paying to Antonio Brown a long time ago. That's the thing. Whether they're players or ex-players or media and stuff like that, like the Boston media and Pro Football Talk and all these things, like they're gonna have their things to say. They're gonna try to drive clicks and drive drama, and it's just it's something that I don't like to feed into at all. So, and for Antonio Brown right now, he's got himself posting pictures of himself in like Baltimore Ravens jerseys on his house. Like the guy's desperate for attention, trying to hang out with Kanye. So I mean, he's got something wrong with him. I mean, I'm not going to go like CTE or anything like that, but I just think that he's a wide receiver. He's a diva, and it's all about him. And he'll probably post something, and we'll see. Who knows?
Calling fake guys Pitbull. And the last question I want to ask you is this: Todd Bowles' 5-year contract. Will he be the head coach over under 5.5 years in Tampa Bay? If you had a guess, and I mean, I know it is tough, so it's one of those.
I will say, I'm going to say, I lost you.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
I'm going to say under. But with a caveat and asterisk. I think Brady leaves after this year. And it really depends on either Kyle Trask or what Jason Light does at the quarterback position. I think Byron probably leaves this year too. So after this year. So it really kind of depends on who he brings in as an offensive coordinator to develop a quarterback. If Kyle Trask is the answer, or if they bring in a big, a name quarterback to come in here and be the guy. And then what do they do on the defensive side of the ball? What do they do in the draft? How does that play out over the next few years? Because we know it's kind of long in the tooth there. Levante David, Will Golston, your secondary is kind of young, but you don't know if you're going to have two of those guys back next year because they're free agents. The Sue come back. You're still old. You don't really have much depth. So, obviously he's a defensive coach. So it depends on how much turnover the defense has, and how and what the quarterback situation looks like, and what the assistants look like, offensive coordinator and stuff like that. So right now I'm not confident. Not that I say I'm not confident, but I don't know what that looks like. So I'm going to take the under just because they don't have a clear-cut picture. Now they got like Deshaun Watson and not Brady, and they're like, oh, they got Deshaun Watson and Bruce Arians stepping away, and your quarterback position is locked up in the next 10 years. So even Russell Wilson for like the next 5 years, 6 years. then I probably would have went with the over. But where the quarterback situation could be and offensive coordinator could be in flux next season, and the defense is getting a little older at some of the positions, and they don't really have the answers on the roster right now, that's why I'll go under. But I think he has the potential to go over.
I agree with you. I'd go under if I had to guess, but I feel like he could perhaps hit over. And I do want to ask you, what hit you harder, would you say? I know, you cover the Bucs. You're an NFL reporter, so you're always a little bit in the in, but there's still a lot of surprises in the industry, obviously, and whatnot. We learned that as Bucs fans and Bucs covers this past year more so than anything. Out of the following, what surprised you more? Tom Brady unretiring like
Tom
he did,
Brady.
or you think that that
I'll let
shocked
you
you more?
finish. No, go finish. Go finish, though.
No. I was just gonna say Tom Brady retire or unretiring, or Bruce Arians moving to a consultant role and Bulls taking over.
I think Tom Brady unretired because, first of all, Tom Brady retiring takes a cake out of all of them because I did not expect that. But, the reasons he gave, I just, you saw it line up with his off-field stuff happening. He's making a movie. The Brady brand is launching. I thought that he could be really taking a step away. There was always that inkling, could he come back? But I didn't think it was going to. Once we were close enough to free agency, I was like, okay, but it happened like the day before tampering period started. So, that was shocking. I was not prepared for that. I wasn't ready for that. Not to say that I was ready for Bruce Arians retiring, but if you look at his age and everything like that, I think they're both super shocking. But just the fact that the domino effect with Brady, he's unretiring, and then, Jensen's resigning, and then Carlton's back, and then Godwin's back. They signed Gage. They trade for Shaq. I think that cataclysm of events that happened after that was, I think that takes the cake for me, though.
I would agree with that because, Bruce, like you said, kind of some signs that, I remember hearing rumors midway through the 2019 season when the Bucs weren't off to that great of a start. Is this going to be a one and done for Bruce Arians? Yada, yada, yada. Here he made it to year 3 and whatnot. And, the Brady thing is more surprising to me as well. When I felt Brady might come back, it was, kind of one of those things for excitement. But here Bruce Arians does this, and at least he's moving to a senior consultant role. As you said earlier, I really feel like this team truly won't miss a beat too much because it's, it is Todd Bowles, so a lot of familiarity there and whatnot. So I guess I should ask this as well. A lot of people, a couple days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, it was either Monday or Tuesday, but Bruce Arians allegedly, he had a family problem, and that's why it was reported that he left the owners meeting. Was that true, or do you think that, this was all kind of emotion and he really went there to say, hey, did we comply with the rules if we make Bowles our head coach? And they told him, yeah, you guys are good. And he's pretty much like, all right, brother, I'm going to the bar. I'm out of here.
No, I think there's it was definitely true. That's, kind of what we heard, so I don't think they would kind of circumvent that. Yeah, and I know a lot of people, my buddies from Boston, and he's kind of like, oh, Brady got his wish or whatever. I was like, come on, that's not what's going on here. And he pointed to that. And, he also missed the team picture because he had to leave early and he was scheduled to speak. And, I don't think that had to do anything to do with it. I think he would have went there and answered the questions about everything that's coming up. I don't think anyone had an inkling of what was going on and could have hey, you're going to surprise, retire. But, who knows? That could have been part of it as well. Make sure it didn't leak out and people aren't asking about it. I don't know. I believe Bruce Arians is the tell like it is type of guy. I pretty much believe, most of the things he's telling you from that standpoint.
I agree with that 100%. And I guess the last question here, unless you want to talk about anything as well, the Steelers GM, even though he's stepping down eventually, but he is staying on through the NFL draft to help the Steelers out, help continuity through the offseason, through free agency, through the draft. Do you think part of the reason why the Bucks elected to keep Bruce Arians as a senior consultant was perhaps that continuity as well? Hey, we want you around for the draft. We want you around for the rest of free agency. We want you around to make sure that Bowles has a smooth transition. Or do you think it was honestly more so of, hey, you've done so much for us. We want to still just give you a title because we want to honor you?
No, I think you're yeah, I think he didn't want to leave the organization. I don't know if it had anything to do with the draft. I thought you were going with John Spytek there. If he was going to be an option for the Steelers GM, role. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to go in-house, but no, I think he just still wanted to be around the team, and he just, wanted to. I really think he mentions the word succession, and I really think that's what it was. I really think that's what it came down to, was that he wanted to take care of his guys, and what better way than to, step down, keep a role in the organization, and allow your 31 coaches to remain employed for the foreseeable future. He's just a stand-up guy.
I lied. One more question. I hope I have time for one more question.
Go ahead.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers senior consultant. Is that the last NFL title or the last title that Bruce Arians will hold? Or do you think he goes elsewhere eventually?
I think so. I think this is probably his last year. I think this is his last year in the league. They're hoping to win a championship, and then him and Brady can, hold hands and walk off to the sunset, into the sunset together. So I think this will be his last season with the Bucks and in the NFL period.
And then you
think a lot of golf to play.
Yeah, I'd seen that. He mentioned something the other. I read an article how he was texting Brady, "Hey, I miss golfing with you," or something along those lines, or "I miss beating you on the golf course," or whatnot.
Right.
So for all those haters of they had a bad relationship or whatever, there goes that theory. Or anyways. So you think Brady's done then after this year with the Bucks for sure?
I would imagine so. He's got a new, obviously the Brady brand, and he put out a tweet, about the Brady brand, unfinished business, last call. So I don't think that he's gonna say it at any point, because he doesn't want like a farewell tour, a la Derek Jeter, Drew Brees type deal. But I think he's probably stepping away after this year. I think he just looked at the team and looked at, the division, and just was like, in the conference, and was like, let's just do this one more time. I'm not done, and he said repeatedly, I'll walk away when I feel like I can't do it anymore at a high level. And he got screwed out of the MVP. It's not like he wasn't doing it at a high level. I don't think he'll play till he's 50. I don't know if he'll play till he's 47, but 45 has been a year he's wanted to play to and play through for the last 6-7 years now. And I could see him walking away, for sure. If not, maybe he goes to Miami next season as a free agent, or San Francisco. Who knows?
Yeah, and me personally, those San Fran Miami things, I just don't think a guy like Brady, and this is me personally, I don't think he has it in him to go to another team. He is the GOAT, but I feel like, when you're that great, you try and play for the littlest amount of teams as possible, because if you go to a San Fran or a Miami, and if you're Tom Brady and you do anything but win the Super Bowl, it almost would feel like, did I accomplish my goal? And then Brady's going to be 46, and it's like, if you don't win it at age 46 with 49ers or Dolphins, then you're going to be 47, 48, and then it just kind of becomes what was the point of switching teams even? So never say never with a guy like Tom Brady.
I was just joking. I don't think he goes anywhere after that. Learning a whole new system, learning a whole new city, learning a whole new everything. I just don't. It's for him. I think it's this year. Buccaneers bust, win the Super Bowl. You've got a really good, barring injury, barring anything crazy. It looks like you have a really good path there. Let's just go run it back one more time and see what happens.
I couldn't agree more. And again, off season has been crazy. It's been insane. JC, hopefully we can have you on back around the draft. Any last words or thoughts for the podcast on this crazy night of Bruce Arians changing roles and Todd Bowles getting promoted?
No. I mean, it's again, it's just another one of these offseason bombshells that continue to to just drop, whether it's with the Bucs or the season. It's been hands down the craziest offseason. I think this is going to be a crazy draft. I can potentially see a lot of movement in it. I don't think we're done yet seeing high profile players get moved, whether it's cut or traded, especially after that June 1st, even maybe after cut downs. There could be some key names available that we weren't expecting. So I continue this offseason right up until the start of the year to be crazy. And if you want to follow it, especially about anything Bucs related, follow me on Twitter at JCAllenNFL. I'm your one-stop shop for everything Bucs. And obviously, Pewter Report. Follow us on pewterreport.com, at Pewter Report. Subscribe for our articles. They'll come right to your email, notify you every time we put one out. Obviously, we've got like 4 or 5 articles out right now about Bruce Arians. We'll have some more in the morning. And then after him and Bull speak at 1 o'clock tomorrow, we'll have even more than that. And our podcast, which was going to be a draft, we're going to do like a simulated mock draft type deal live on the show, is now going to be all about Bruce and Bulls and Byron and the plan. So make sure you guys tune into that tomorrow at 4 too.
Yeah, you got a little more news to talk about now other than mock drafts this early.
Right,
but
right.
Pewter Report really is the best, guys. We appreciate you guys doing everything you guys do, and you're really one of a kind, JC. We appreciate all the work and all the insight you bring to Bucs Twitter. You're one of those guys who communicates with the fans. You do it all, man, and that's why a lot of Bucs fans, I think, appreciate you and Pewter Report as a whole, because you got guys like you got guys like John who actually go above and beyond, and even Greg Allman too. He's with The Athletic, but you guys are different. You guys interact with fans. You guys, want to help fans gain knowledge of the game. You guys are there for people. Other guys, they feel too big, and I feel like they ignore everything. But you guys are great, man. We really do appreciate it.
Of course, and we appreciate the appreciation, because that's the whole thing is, right. We want to much fan interaction. I'm always running polls and ask me anything and this or that. So whatever you guys, like I said, my DMs are always open. You have questions about anything, whatever, feel free to shoot me one. If you just want to at me, I'm always around to answer or to talk about whatever, Bucs or football or whatever.
Yeah, like you were tonight, my friend. All of a sudden you came in, and I really hope we get to talk to you around the draft, brother. That would be fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Yes, sir. We know where you're at, my friend. You're always on Twitter. You're always available. You're always a great guy and a great Bucs source, my friend. Thank you again, my man.
Awesome. Have a great day, man.
You too,
great
Jake.
Night, whatever it is. I'm lost.
I mean, time zone, we're an hour away on the East Coast from midnight. We're approaching there. So whatever it is, my friend.
Good. It's all good. It's been crazy the last couple of hours. I don't even know. I didn't know it was 11 o'clock already.
Every day of the NFL offseason blended in, man. Ever since that Monday, or ever since the Sunday when Brady announced he's coming back, it's like I just keep checking Twitter like crazy because you never know what could happen. And tonight's a perfect example of that.
Exactly. All right. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, brother. Thanks again, everyone. That's JC Allen from the Pewter Report. Fantastic Buccaneers contributor there. Fantastic Twitter follow. Once again, follow him at JC Allen NFL. Guys, I have been on for an hour and 25 minutes now, just about. I promised 10 minutes. I said maybe 15 minutes. I said if you're lucky, 20 minutes. An hour and 25 minutes. I'm out of gas. I'm out of juice. I didn't have water. I didn't have tea. I did not have anything prepped for the pod. This is all a thank you, Bruce. And looking forward to Todd Bowles and Buccateers. Looking forward to talking to you guys next episode, which will be very soon. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks again to JC Allen from the Pewter Report. Thank you for everything, Bruce Arians. And as always, go Bucs. On behalf of Tampa Tones, this has been the Buccateers. We are out, but we are down, but not out, I should say. Until next time, thank you. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there. and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. Beat Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lee Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little.
No, my camera's broke.